Hello everyone, my name is Kevin Sampson, and today I'm going to be sharing with you some of the economic effects of a natural disaster. The presentation will focus on the cave rescue of the soccer team in the caves of Thailand. Before I get started, I'd like to explain a little bit about myself. I was a rescue swimmer of the United States Navy for nearly 9 years. I'd like to draw upon some of my experiences to explain certain aspects of the presentation to you using my subject matter expertise as well as a variety of sources pertaining to the incident in question. So let's get started with what happened to the soccer team in the first place. After a game, the soccer team decided that it would be a good idea to go exploring in a nearby cave. While inside that cave, a monsoon started. Now there is some confusion about what a monsoon is in comparison to a typhoon or a hurricane. To begin with, a hurricane and a typhoon are two names for the same thing in different regions of the world. A monsoon, however, is a seasonal wind shift that can result in either a vast amount of rain or a dry spell, depending on the season. Obviously, in this case, it resulted in heavy rains, which flash flooded the entrance to the cave and began filling the cave up from other runoff sources in the cave system. This forced the team further and further into the cave. The team was stranded for 9 days before their location was discovered. Immediately, safety professionals began pumping water from the cave. Prolonged exposure inside the cave drastically reduced the survival odds of the children and the adult. And the decision was made to dive for the team and begin getting them out, in fear that another monsoon might reflood the caves completely. The Thai Navy SEALs, with the aid of doctors on scene, as well as multiple people from nations all around the world, helped in the effort to get the children out. Children were evacuated and treated in the hospital after what ended up being an 18-day ordeal. With all that being said, I'd like to tap into my search and rescue days in the Navy to explain a few things about what a process it is to perform a rescue operation. To begin with, the mission must be issued. That happens when the problem arises and authorities are notified. After this piece of information is given, a team is assembled and location efforts ensue. After the location of the subject happens, a plan for rescue begins. Questions arise in all sorts of shapes and sizes. What equipment is needed? Pumps, pipes, people, medical equipment? How do we care for the trapped people before they're rescued? How is food, water, medical supplies delivered? Personal and resources available? What do we have available to us, and do we need help? Next, it's the operation preparation or training itself. Okay, you've got to design and practice for the actual dive. In this case, the Thai Navy SEALs practice inside of a pool with children of similar height, weight, and builds of the children and adult that was trapped. So what was the trade-off? What if there were casualties inside the cave because of a loss of time? What is the gain? So you gain preparedness and assurance that the rescue will be done properly, and the mission that is even possible the way that you've designed it. Could this be a risk? Absolutely. But it's better to practice and make sure something's possible than to have unnecessary casualties. And finally, you have the mission execution. The mission, which resulted in the death of one Thai Navy SEAL, who I'll talk about later, resulted in the rescue of 12 children ages 11 to 16 and the 25-year-old coach. Ultimately, you can say that this mission was definitely a success. So let's talk about the economic losers of this situation. The children, before they were rescued, were economic losers. If they did not survive, then they're foregoing any and all future earnings in both money and life experience. Their families are also losers with the loss of their child. This goes even deeper in a place that relies upon family members as a money-making entity as they get older. A lot of places far and wide actually have multiple generations of their family inside of one household, so this can actually drastically affect their ability to survive. Another loser, perhaps the biggest loser, is Sumarn Kunan, a Thai Navy SEAL who died while attempting to rescue these children. He ran out of air and suffocated in service to these children, and he died a hero. He and his family were huge economic losers in the situation for obvious reasons. Something else to consider is the effect on the mission itself. Death can affect morale, along with the success of the mission. It can create feelings of failure inside the community for that person, and this can also spread beyond the area of the operation itself. Thoughts that they should have done more to help, is felt inside the entire community and not just friends and family. This can also extend to the morale of the entire, military entity in itself, because something like this can really affect people far and wide. Now on to the winners. Although they were also losers, the children who survived, in this case all of them, along with the coach, are all winners. They may have lost time inside the cave, however, they survived and will now be free to pursue their lives. They may even become something of celebrities inside their communities, drawing on the media and becoming motivational speakers or an inspiration to those in similar situations. The government, as well as the military, is another economic winner. As a whole, they have proven themselves competent on a global scale. This type of event is not something that goes unnoticed. There are countries from around the world involved in this, and the Thailand Navy was able to succeed in front of them all. This may boost confidence inside the military and from their citizens as well. As mentioned, there was something that went wrong. Sumar Kunan was the only casualty of this tragic event. That's only one thing that went wrong, but the cost was much more than money. Many of the other things could have gone wrong, though. A collapse in the tunnel, another heavy rain, the pipes or the equipment breaking, etc. The cost of these things could be more than money. However, monetarily speaking, the cost to train these people, to do a specialized job, the cost of training another person, along with the time that it would take to train them and get them there, is also very, very high. These are all very costly and can range in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the price of time inside the cave is another commodity that we must talk about. With every malfunction, the likelihood of these people escaping decreases. If a part breaks, not only will you have to pay for the part, but you'd have to wait for it to get there. In a country such as Thailand, it may not be as difficult as some places, but I can guarantee you that it's not as easy to get quality generator or pumps to the middle of a forest as it is maybe here in the United States. These are all very important aspects of the mission that had to be brought up from all angles. What should they bring? Should they bring backups? What if those break? What if the backups break? So many plans and logistical problems must be thought of and prepared for, and even then still, things can go wrong. All of these things have associated costs and consequences in both time and money. So by the end of a multinational operation, you're looking at a multi-million-dollar operation. So what about Thailand as a whole? Thailand will have both positive and negative effects. Let's start with the negatives. There are many potential negative impacts that this could cause for Thailand. One that immediately jumps out at me is the tourism aspect. How many people want to really visit the caves in Thailand right now? Probably not many. Other negative impacts can include things such as the soccer teams not using that particular venue and changing fields, which makes the person who profits from the fields an economic loser. The city itself may have to do damage control and close off the caves until they can figure out what to do. One positive, though, is confidence in their people along with the rest of the world that they can do what they need to in a situation such as this. They needed help and they asked for it. And afterwards, they succeed in their mission to save the soccer team in front of all the people involved. Yet another benefit is the awareness. We have flash floods here in the United States all the time. The Grand Canyon, for instance, along with many other places such as Arizona, Utah, and Nevada, have the types of rock and sediment that are affected in this way. This type of awareness is very far-reaching, and it is sad to say that we lost someone, but the actions could have led to the saving of many more lives. In conclusion, there are always good and bad consequences of an event like this. You can never truly prepare for events that happen by freaks of nature. However, the level of training can mean the difference between life and death. I also think that if anything has been taught to me by this, it's that, there's such a difference of cost between economic and non-economic. The life cost, for instance, and the feelings that it can really happen. To minimize the economic losers, it's always best to prepare and practice like you play. And I hope that you've come to that conclusion as well. So at this point, I'm going to go over the works cited that I use. I've used various sites from CNN, ABC, Times, CBS, and I also brought pictures from ABC and these other websites. I'm going to go ahead and include this PowerPoint attached that you can take a look at this as well. And hopefully, if you want, there's a couple videos on these that you can take a look at and give yourself a little bit of a better understanding, and maybe some things that I missed about what happened and how the operation went down. Lastly, I'd like to go over possible ways to give me some questions and get your feedback on this video. So feel free to leave comments, and questions and whatnot about what it is that you thought about the video and questions you may have, and I'd be happy to get back to you. Thanks a lot, you guys. I'd like to leave you with one more final thought, and that is something that I learned in the military. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. This means practice how you play, like I said before. Make sure that you are preparing yourself for things that happen, and if you do that adequately, you are going to be prepared, and you will react to a situation adequately instead of freezing up or fleeing the situation. So again, my name is Kevin Sampson. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and thank you very much for your time.